I'm sorry, I haven't seen an Andrew Tate video where he's berating a woman for her physical features. I haven't seen that.
Because he's taking specific people.
Is that
Andrew Tate's not like, well, Kimberly username 698, or you're ugly and you're fat and you're this. In fact, he's even spoken out about men being unattractive and not being, but no one cares about if I talk about men not being up to standard. Go king, go, you're the man. For the people in the back, yes, queen, men are this, they should up their standard.
Men don't lie to each other. We don't give each other false bravado and go like,
you're the best,
and we're all 10s because we say we're 10s. Now, socially, women will do that to each other in a group, but they're all lying to each other. They know where each
they know
where each girl stands.
Yeah, 100%.
They know their actual realistically where they stand value-wise, each other, and it doesn't come out normally until they're in a conflict. That's when they're
honest about each other.
Like, that bitch is a slut.
Or they'll be like, well, you're a fat blah, 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 who has no blah, blah, blah.
That's when women tell the truth. But for the most part, women are communal thinkers. And so they all lie to each other because they don't want to offend and upset each other. This is another thing, like the big loudmouth girls, sort of like the Drew Alofa chick. Whoever's the most alpha in the girl group, when the girls go out, girls will still follow this chick. Whoever's the loudest and the most dominant of the group, even if that girl's direction is stupid, even if she's single and all she does is get drunk and have one night stands, all the girls in that group will follow her out the nightclub to the next nightclub. So you're being guided by a completely lost idiot at the end of the day.
And if you met an amazing guy and she's like, yeah, we're leaving, they'll just follow.
Yeah.
And you will ditch that amazing guy because Alpha Girl 1 said so.
Alpha Girl didn't want you to get laid. She wants you to stay single.
She wants you to be in the same fields as her. Whereas, like, guys, if you're like, bro, there's a bet, you better go get to it.
Men are very supportive with each other. So it's like, yo, if Benda meets somebody very attractive, I'm like, bro,
I'm like, go for it.
That's you for the night.
Yeah.
That's you for the night.
Hey, I'm staying.
You get, bro. You handle that. And we tell him you handle that.
And I will be like, listen, I might have to go, but bro,
do your manly,
you do your
masculine duty.
Fuck yeah.
Be a gentleman.
I'm not gonna make you leave because I want to leave.
Nurture her. Slay, nurture.
You're not attached to the hip.
Yeah, exactly. We're not attached to the hip. We're able to be independent thinkers. I'm able to let him, lead his direction. He has his own thoughts. I'm able to respect his autonomy as a man of what he likes and what he's interested in. If we might even have different tastes or variants in what we're attracted to with ladies. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I respect my bro. That I'm like, yo, do your thing, man. Like, bro, that is good for you. If he's happy, I'm happy for him. Yeah. But unfortunately, the communal hive mind of a lot of ladies is that if one girl is happy and there's a bunch of single girls around her, they will misadvise her to her detriment because they don't want to see her actually be able to enjoy herself if they're all going home and crying themselves to sleep.
I have seen so many instances where a woman, she'll have a fight with her boyfriend. She's got these bad girlfriends, bad influence. She goes to them looking for advice, and she gets more and more heated with each second that passes, goes back into that situation. I have seen so many relationships crumble because women have low quality friends that they seek advice from, that then give them bad advice, rant them up. Well, also, most of the time, those friends are in either marriages they hate or they're single and they want company. Yeah. So they're like, oh, let me wreck her situation, as opposed to giving good advice to say, listen, go back to the table, try to work it out. He's doing this, maybe that wasn't so great, but this, and this are like, you've got a kid, you've got just bad advice all around.
What I've come to realize from talking to both men and women is that single women perpetually keep each other single. They give each other terrible advice. What I've always said is that typically, women are hive-minded creatures. They follow the flow of what their friends say. If you have one girl in the group that's like, hey, she's a little bit more dominant than others, they're going to follow her lead. So even if she has a terrible lead, maybe she's chronically single, she's extremely masculine, she's not attractive, maybe she's overweight, whatever, all the girls are going to look at her and be like, you know what? Maybe it is a good idea to be a raging bitch. Maybe I'll get some guys. I watched Kim Kardashian get a high-value man. Mainly follow her in her footsteps. And unfortunately, women like to follow. And I always say that, men are leaders, women follow. And if girls aren't with a strong leader, they're going to follow someone who's the strongest in her orbit. And if that person is an idiot, they're going to follow that person typically.
Yeah, you always see it when, I don't know, a lot of guys can probably agree with this. Yeah. It'll be a girl, and they'll be like, we're leaving. and the girl's like having the best convo with this guy, and she will leave, and
they'll come and cock block it like this,
and it was under the guise of it's safe. She needs to get home safe.
Yeah. It's
2023. Order an Uber right outside the club. Jump into the Uber. Go home.
Yeah.
You don't literally need to both be in the same Uber to go home. Because I know for a fact that same girl who's been like, we're going, would leave your ass.
Yeah, we'll leave you.
To go enjoy herself, enjoy her time.
Exactly. And as these people get older in general, too, is that these girls they end up in their own relationships as well, too. So they will bail on you once they find somebody that they like. Yeah. So to lead your life direction based on your girl circle out at a nightclub is ridiculous. It's freaking ridiculous. It's like, just know that you deserve to be happy and enjoy yourself, and don't be led, ladies, don't be led by somebody who doesn't have an example you should be wanting to replicate and emulate. If anything, if you want to be successful in life, you find somebody who is
married.
Who's living a life that you actually want to replicate, that you can live by and go, wow, that's a great example of what they have. This is the type of direction I need to, ideally model after,
There's not a lot of women out there who are like that, but
or even going to be truthful to give you the right direction. Girls will steer you in the wrong direction. This is why it's so dangerous to be about buying into a philosophy. And that's also what the podcast chicks like, this Drew Alofa and other female podcasters that will just be bragging about one night stands. They'll be bragging about you don't need a man, and they're still single, and they're in their 40s
and then
their 30s, and they're projecting their negative experiences, their lack of retention, but because they don't have accountability, they're projecting that on you, and now
and saying they're living their best life.
Say they're living their best life, but they're actually unfulfilled. Living your best life is having a family. It's having children at the end of the day. This is why girls go and get dogs. You go and get a dog or a cat because you're trying to emulate your innate nature to nurture. You have a nature to nurture, and so you're trying to fulfill that void by walking around with a pit bull and just going like, "Oh, this is my baby." It's a jackal. It's a dog, and you're tongue kissing it.
All right, I've met. In my life, I've lived in so many different countries.
Gross.
And to this day, I've just never experienced anything
Hannah, Karen, get your mouth off the dog.
I've never experienced so many women I've met who are single, and they all treat their pets the same way, like a child,
an infant.
It's a child. And at first, when I first experienced it, I just thought, I just thought people were like pets. But as I got older, I realized we're in this generation
it's a biological thing.
A generation where it's not like the 90s or the early 2000s or even later than that. Women weren't just going out and buying. I bet you if we looked at a statistical analysis of how many women buy pets, you'd probably see a big spike. Now, what's the difference between now and then? You can't be like, well, women have the right to vote, so then they can buy dogs. They could probably buy dogs then. But you're looking at such young women, and I'm saying the women I've met overseas, here in New Zealand and a few places, they are all treating their dogs like they're babies. And then if you took away their dogs, and this really sucks. I know someone who overseas who did lose their dog. Her life is crumbled.
They're ready to commit suicide. My dog died.
And I'm like, I'm not trying to be a dick.
I'm like,
a child will live longer than you. A dog has literally got a certain amount of years. I don't know how that perplexes your mind. And how you didn't see this coming. And of course, you're treating it like a baby. Of course, you're mentally ruined after that. And like Kel said, you're using this to literally fill a void, and a lot of them won't understand this. It's subconscious. They're going, oh no, it's just it's why did you just suddenly buy a pet dog and it's your baby and you call it your baby? Words are very important. You're not going, oh, it's my pet. I don't know, Ferrari. No, it's like, oh my god, I can't wait to see my baby again. Oh my god, I'm taking my boy out today. That is literally how women who have children talk. And to me, women who actually have kids, it's a slap in the face because you're trying to tell me what you're dealing with the same thing. And I nearly had a girl literally say this. She went, oh yeah, and she had a pause because she saw my face. She was like, yeah, it's pretty hard. My life is real hard with said baby, her pet dog. And I went, And she said,
Baby.
"Oh, no, I'm not trying to say like it's the
Baby.
same, but like it's pretty hard." And I said, "Not really, because women who have children can't leave their children at home by themselves.
Yeah.
You literally can leave an animal. Like you do realize before humans,
Yeah.
they were alone.
Yeah,
They used
yeah.
to feed themselves
They
and
feed
hunt,
themselves. So all you need is a shit cage, and you need you just
some
need
food.
and a bowl.
and you're good." But
Yeah.
the other thing I've noticed with a lot of, I'd say, young women who are buying dogs and treating them like babies, as these dogs become codependent. So I've
Yeah.
noticed a lot of them buy sitters because these dogs freak out.
Yeah.
It's a new thing a lot of dogs are learning is, I can't be left alone. Like, holy
Yeah.
shit, she's like, yeah, my dog just scratches the door. He can't be let. Yeah, you're with him 24/7.
You've made him into this very codependent thing. And see, that's the other. This is another thing about single moms too, that they do to their babies. Is a lot of single moms make these children very codependent on them, and this is why babies get very emotional as well. They start crying and having temper tantrum issues, because if there's not a balance in the home where there's a father figure there to teach your child. Men are supposed to teach your child that, like, hey, it doesn't matter what happens to you. You got to power through it. You got to be strong, get through it. If a boy drops on the ground and he scratches his leg, he goes, "You'll be fine. I saw you bump your head when you're 2. You'll be good. You just brush it off. You know, it's all right. It's just a little sand on your cut."
Yeah.
That's what we're supposed to do, is provide that psychological reinforcement so you can go to keep going. But unfortunately, ladies tend to be emotional. So if a child gets hurt, they get very emotional too. And so the child is crying and they start crying and, "Oh, come here, my snookum bookums." And so you will helicopter parent this
like, coddle this
kid
kid.
to a detriment. And then when he gets older or she gets older, they're so hypersensitive to everything that they can't take any sort of criticism. They can't take any sort of self-improvement things. They can't handle being on their own, to be able to feel like they can make their own decisions in a
This is kind of like where all that toxic masculinity kind of vibe is coming from.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't want to deal with it, so it's toxic masculinity.
Yeah, and part
Society has been telling single mothers for decades now, you're strong, you're independent, you don't need no man, until they need child support or until they need government handouts. They still have the opportunity to raise children, but without the authority of a man in a household. And the problem with that is that single mommy households tend to be absolute beta factories. They don't churn out strong, virtuous men, and they generally churn out promiscuous, slutty women. The vast majority of gang activity, single parent household, vast majority of teenage pregnancies, vast majority of suicide attempts. Two-parent households with a man and a woman produce far more useful members of society than ones that are walking around virtuously pounding their chest saying, "I am awesome, here's my offspring." The vast majority of the guys that watch my content come from single-parent households. They haven't got it right, and they've been conditioned to be kind, humble, nice. These moms generally turn out weak men that try to enter the friend zone to get with the gals. And women don't want weak, pussified men. They want strong, virtuous guys. That's what they've always been attracted to. Men compete, women choose.
Husband and wife raise their kid. The chance of this kid going to jail is the same as just the father raising his kids. The problem is the single mother without a father in the picture that can sit there and discipline the kids, give them hope, values, principles, all the other stuff. We play different roles. This is statistic. If somebody's watching and saying, "Oh my God, you're discounting women, you're discounting mothers," go get upset at the stats, not at me. This is stats. You can't get upset at 3 times 3 is 9. That's stats. I'm giving you stats that's being given to us by the government because they have access to these stats. This is disturbing.
partial of that is sometimes it's psychological angst that they there's a lot of single moms that project their bad experiences onto their children. A fuck ton, excuse my language, but there's a fuck ton of single moms that will project their bad experience onto their child, and they will talk bad about the father. So you prepare either the boy up. The boys and girls are raised different, so you'll prepare the girl up, for example. You prepare her up, and she'll be more having more angst towards men, and she'll anticipate negativity because of her mom's experience. So then she goes around, she relates all of her relationship interactions with other men and the same likeness that of her mom experience. Her mom projected her own choices onto her child, which is it's going to affect her child's thought process as an adult. It will manifest itself in her adulthood, and you can actually F up your child's life, you know, because your child can make a bunch of bad mistakes based on your own actions that you chose, and you put this philosophy in their head, and then they don't figure this out until they're 35, that, oh my God, I've screwed up the earlier years of my life, or 40 or 50. I screwed up the earlier years of my life because my mom projected her single mom experience onto me. And same with boys. Boys end up being overly nurtured, and because boys want to prove themselves to ladies, a lot of times they end up becoming more effeminate, and they don't know their masculine role as a man when it comes to adulthood, what they're supposed to do, that they're not supposed to be emotionally vulnerable and Disney boys and giving out flowers. They're supposed to take care of themselves, because if that boy doesn't take care of himself, no one's going to save him, because they're going to view him as a man. So that is that clear difference with men and women. Women always have someone, society saves women. Everything in the Western world, infrastructure-wise, through family court, through social programs, through employment, you are diversity. You are completely saved off the identity of your gender because you're a female.
Openly admit that we lied to a generation of women just to sell you products.
We created this fantasy world, the Cosmo Girl, at least in the beginning, before a lot of women began to buy into it. The Cosmo Girl was just a sexual fantasy. She would work hard, she was on the pill, and she would get an abortion. They weren't going to have to fire her for being pregnant because she was never going to get pregnant. She just worked hard and for the corporation. Basically, she was a man.
A lot of you might not know how influential Cosmopolitan magazine and all of their media was, completely setting a new standard for what it meant to be a woman in America. And it's not even what it means to be a woman in America. It's what it means to be a subpar man in a woman's body.
Hey guys, if you want to watch more clips, click here.
And if you want to watch the full podcast, click right here.